All right, we are live coming from Destin, Florida and Jamaica. What is going on, guys? We're here as always, Tuesday's free coaching call that we do this. And today's a little special one because we got Tessa joining us from a hurricane in Jamaica. She is out there at an event speaking. But how you doing today, Tess?
Doing good. Yeah, I definitely didn't expect my first trip to Jamaica to be weathering out a hurricane, but you know what? We make the most of it, and luckily, as of now, we still have internet and power and everything, so still able to keep working. But of course, that's not going to stop us from showing up for these weekly coaching sessions that we do with you guys, because it is so important. And today, especially, is a really important day, and I'll tell you why. It's because today is actually the last Tuesday of the third quarter of the year, meaning that the next time we see you guys on here, it'll be fourth quarter of 2023, which is absolutely crazy. I don't know about you guys, but for me, this year flew by, especially the last probably like 4 months or something. I feel like have been just an absolute blur. But the reason that we really wanted to talk about this is because we're entering something here soon that I like to call runway season. Runway season is something that I started referring to a couple years back because I understood, and I learned it the hard way, honestly. I'm sure many of you guys have too, that of course the results you get in a month are actually that of the actions you took probably 2-3 months prior. It is not always just an immediate result of what you did the day before, the week before, the month before. And so it's super, super important that you're thinking about now. If you have big goals for 2024, is that right? Yeah, 20. Wait,
23. I mean, you have big goals 2024 too, if you want.
Oh my gosh, I just got all kinds of confused. I think I said the wrong thing earlier, but you get the point. For 2023, then now is the time to start getting clarity on A, what those goals look like, and B, how can I start conditioning myself to take the consistent action necessary in order to achieve those? Because let me tell you, if you wait until January, if you even wait until December to start setting those goals and start saying that you're going to stay committed to XYZ, it's going to take you at least another month, 2 months, 3 months to really get into that momentum. And so then your first quarter of the year is gone, and all of a sudden you're behind on the goals that you've set out to accomplish. And so we call this runway season because October, November, December, it is the season of excuses. And we don't want you to be one of those statistics of the agents who are statistically slowing down at this time of year. They stop calling as much, they start making a heck of a lot more excuses, and they start making a heck of a lot less money as a result of it. And we don't want you to fall victim to that kind of statistic. And it's really simple not to, but you have to do so with high intention and with true commitment to the things that you've set out to accomplish. And those two pieces really are the key to staying committed and making this a runway season so that when you enter in January, you are so far ahead of other people in your market, of other agents around the US, and of what you really thought you were even able to accomplish. So today we're going to share a couple of things for you to not fall victim to the excuses and to really commit to using those next 3 months as your runway season. So John, over to you. How can they use these next couple of months to the best of their ability?
Yeah, I mean, look, first off, the runway season is so true, right? And 'tis the season of excuses. And you usually find this in the health, right? Where it's like, oh, but it's Thanksgiving and then it's Christmas. And look, we get it. There are circumstances that are going to happen that you cannot avoid. We understand that 100%. But what I would suggest is start doing these few things. Number one is first identify and outline what the next 12 weeks looks like for this year. That's number one, right? Figure out what that looks like. But number two is you need to, by November 10th, maybe 15th, I'm giving you guys a deadline, but before the Thanksgiving holiday, you need to identify what success looks like for next year. And you got to do it in these areas, okay? So write it down. First off, if you're watching this on the live or watch this on a replay, I want to know, do you do a long reflection before setting up your goals? Yes or no? Do you do a reflection of the year previous before setting up your goals? Just super curious. But here's the areas that you're going to set your goals in, okay? 1 is your health, mental and physical. 2 is your relationships. 3 is going to be your finances. That's money in, money out, right? Money in, money out. Number 4 is going to be personal, joy, things you love to do, right? Number 5 is going to be spiritual, whatever that is that you believe in, but spiritual. And 6 is your business. We're talking about your structure, your systems, and your processes. You got to identify what success looks like in those areas for 2023 by November 15th. Make that a must. Put it in, and here's the other part of that. You need to be in a place, this is the big, big piece right here. You need to be in a place that is not your normal setting. Let me tell you why. If you're like, oh, cool, I got, the kids are going to be away this day, the wife and husband's going to be away, I can just sit in my office and do it. No, you won't. The brain will go to distraction like it's probably doing right now. Come back here, right? Like it's doing right now. So you need to make sure that you're in a setting that's not your normal setting. So the brain doesn't understand its normal patterns of being reactive to things and getting distracted. So I would say take 2 days and go somewhere, right? Take 2 days and go somewhere. What my wife knows, there's 2 days in November every single year that I disappear to the beach, right? I come back, go out for about 8 hours. And I don't know if it's going to take me 2 hours to do what I want to do, or 3 hours, but I take 2 days, right? And the first day is I reflect. And I start setting some high level goals. The next day is getting really granular in those areas of what I want, right? So that's number 2, setting those. And then number 3 is making sure you're in an environment that's conducive to big thinking, to large thinking, to not being distracted. Then the other piece to that is coming back around a week later. This is a big piece that so many people miss out on. Coming back a week or 2 later and reviewing those goals again. Now, why do we do this? We do this because sometimes we do get in this momentum of writing goals down, but then we come back and look at it with a different set of fresh eyes. We could actually see things a little bit more clear. We can see that we undervalued ourselves in this area. We need to reach higher. Or, oh, you know what? I didn't even realize I didn't set this goal. We do it all the time. So coming back a week or 2 later and revisiting those goals is a huge piece to setting true intention to getting yourself this runway season. Because what you're going to do in November and December, I'm telling you, you're not going to feel it, good or bad, until February, March, right? What you do in these next few months is going to determine your first quarter, okay? It's going to determine your first quarter. So we need you guys starting on 2023 today, right? Today kind of identifies what it is, but you got to understand what it looks like by the middle of November. Don't wait until November 20, what's Thanksgiving, 25th, 27th, whatever it is.
Something like that.
Right? November, Thanksgiving, because what happens really quick, guys, is because between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so much happens in between there that it's so hard for you to get away for 2 days, right? So hard for you to get away for 2 days. So that's why I always say do it prior to it. Those are just a few things. I got a few more to add, but Tessa, what you got on ways for them to get out of the tis the season for excuses and hit this runway season all the way in?
Yeah. So one other thing that I think is really important is this happens. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. What I want you guys to think about is, and I know it can vary because as holidays come up or families come into town or whatever, things are always going to change a little bit, but predetermine what some of your flexibility is around holidays and what things you're really going to stay committed to. And so what I mean by this is a lot of times what we see happen is we'll talk about runway season, people get fired up, we'll host our goal setting workshop, everybody's pumped up, and then it actually gets closer and closer to Thanksgiving. And let's say your Aunt Kimmy comes to town, and then all of a sudden you took a whole week off and you're hanging out with Kimmy, drinking wine, doing whatever you're doing. And then all of a sudden 1 week turns into 2 weeks. And then it just kind of snowballs into like, oh, I'll revisit that at a later date. And you just keep pushing it off because you fell off the wagon, is so to say. And so what I have learned, and this has helped many of our clients too, to overcome that, is to actually predetermine, hey, I'm going to block off these 2-3 days, whatever it is, into your calendar. And in those 3 days, I'm going to just completely spend time with family. I'm going to disconnect from stuff. I'll even, leading up to that, I'm going to send out whatever emails, text messages, autoresponders, connections, whatever needs to happen prior to make sure that I can sit and be completely engaged on those couple of days. And let yourself do it without any guilt, without any shame, without any like distracted mind. It's going to be a positive for you in so many ways because one, some of the most paralyzing emotions are those attached to shame and guilt. And you've probably felt it before when you're at a dinner or you're doing something and your mind is mentally still in a transaction that you forgot to send off an email for, or it's going up in flames right now and you need to be working on it. And so you're not actually present and in the moment. And so you're not really serving either side of the rope there, because you're not really serving the transaction in your work, but you're also not present with the people that are important to you. So I would suggest is also setting aside what those boundaries are going to look like and what days you're going to go ahead and block off, and kind of have a fallback plan for yourself, that if something comes up and, someone surprises me and comes into town early or something, or I want to spend time with them, have that in place ahead of time, so that you don't really fall victim to that guilt, to that shame, or worst of all, you're kind of there, kind of not, because you don't actually get to be present with the people who are important. So think proactively when it comes to the holidays, and just really focus on making sure that you're able to set aside time, and then have people hold you accountable. I also do this a lot. I give the people close to me permission to say, hey, just so you guys know, I'm going to go ahead and step out. I have a bit of work to do this day. Once I come back, you have full reign to give me to heckle me a bit if I'm still on my phone and still paying attention to work, because I really want to be present with you guys. And then it can be fun. And now they respect your boundary, and they get to hold you accountable to it.
I love it. I mean, speaking about that, yesterday I went to the Springs here in Florida, and we went for my cousin Ruth. It was her birthday, and so we just went out and had a little fun day at the Springs, and we watched it on Instagram. And we went down slides, did some rope swings. It was awesome. But I remember sitting there, and I was so grateful that I had set up my day strategically to be present in those moments, right? I didn't look at my phone, not once, right? Took pictures, and that was it. And that only happened because of the preparation, because of the intentionality that we take every single week. And so you got to do this going forward. You know what's going to happen, right? You've been down this road before. You know these distractions that are going to happen. Set yourself up strategically. So one more piece of advice for this runway season is, and Tessa brought it up, find somebody that's going to hold you accountable to those actions, right? When you're setting these goals, say, who do I need in my life that's going to challenge me, who's going to push me, who's going to lead me through this next season, these next few seasons of my life? Because trying to do this alone gets very difficult, and you don't have to, right? And whether that's somebody you pay, whether it's somebody that you don't pay, but that really will hold you accountable, whatever it might be, it doesn't make a difference. But you need to have somebody to challenge you and hold you accountable. And if you don't do that, you'll find yourself giving into those old patterns and old excuses. And you need a gut check sometimes. So allow somebody to give you that gut check. And it's going to be doing wonders for you. And even though it doesn't feel good in the moment, it's going to do wonders for you. So when you set up those goals in those 6 areas, when you take those 2 days away from your normal setting, when you reflect on a year previously, ask yourself that final question of, all right, who do I need to hold me accountable to these things? And maybe it's different for each area, right, Tess? So maybe it's like your spouse in this area, and maybe it's a business coach in this area. Maybe it's your it's your friend in this area for health, whatever it might be, personal trainer. So just find areas that other people can hold you accountable to, and you'll find yourself absolutely exploding. And one little thing, there's a guy that I follow, Alex Hermoz, I think it's his last name, but Alex, Hermozi, and he was talking about it. He was like, if I invested all the money I invested into coaching, if I invested all that into an S&P, right, into a stock, I would have less money. He goes, if I took all the money that I invested when I was early 20s and invested it into the stock market instead of investing into myself, I would have less money. That's insane to think about, but it's so true. Because he said, if I invested into myself, I know I could take the action and I could 10x, 15x return, 25x return these things. And I'm in control at that point. When I put it in somebody else's hands, I'm not in control. So whatever it is, realize you need to invest in yourself, guys. And as I said before, it could be a coach, it could be a personal trainer, whatever it might be, but know that you are worth the investment into yourself of not just money, though. Here's the part, time, right? Putting time in for the preparation, time in for the skill building and the intentionality of prepping your week. Tess, you got anything else before we let these people go and give them something to run into the week with?
I think that is it. I want you guys to just start really placing that into your mind. John just dropped it on the bottom of the screen there, but be sure to comment the word goals if you want access to our goal setting workshop. We are about to announce it in the next couple of days here, but every single year we do a really intense goal boot camp. It's a 2-day thing. We take you through the entire process, how to quantify it, how to truly stick to it. And this year's we have some especially cool things planned for you guys. So if you are watching live or if you're watching on the replay, be sure to comment the word goal goals with an S, and our team will get the invite for you to join us at our goal setting workshop. But regardless, make sure that you are thinking of this as your runway season. It's the end of September, and it is about to be the start of the time to really hunker down and beat the excuses, be above average, and don't fall victim to being one of those statistics of the people who slow down at this time of year. Thank you guys as always for tuning in, and we will see you next week on our live Tuesday coaching.
Yeah, stay safe, Florence.